What is up, y'all? It's Brian back again with Crush Cards, and as you can see, we have another zombie deck profile. So about a week or so ago, I uploaded my pilot combo version of this deck, and in the comment section below, because this card just came out, everybody was asking how the new JACK-O-BOLAN card fits into the deck, and in my honest opinion, for a combo deck, it doesn't. The card has a fire, it's a level 7. This card doesn't really help you go into your Curious combo, and it requires you to discard a zombie monster just to special summon it. It's too situational if you don't have Mizuki in your hand, which is really the only card you want to discard besides your Banshee. And with the dangers, it just doesn't really, the dangers don't trigger this card. So in my honest opinion, in the combo version of this deck, I don't think that this card is good. However, in the control variant, I think this card is absolutely incredible. It gives the deck such a buff. It allows you to have more interaction on your opponent's turn, and it provides you with just more recurable resources for you to continually recycle. So this is a zombie control build. It has no dangers. It's not really combo oriented. It's just kind of does your standard zombie stuff. So let's just get right into the list. For your play starters, you're always going to start off with 3 Trinity Solitaire. I feel like in the combo version or control version, this card is just insane. You just tribute it for cost, and it special summons a zombie tuner with 0 defense directly from your deck to your side of the field, which is typically going to be your Unizombie. This card is your play starter. It's one of the main cards that you need to see opening hand. This card just allows you to target one face-up monster on the field and increase its level for both effects, so that's the cost. And then the first effect is you can discard 1 card, and then the second effect is you can just Foolish Burial any zombie monster directly from your deck to the graveyard. It really helps get your play started. It helps you send anything in your hand that you need to unbrick, and then it helps keep your engine rolling by just getting things in your graveyard. Even though we are a control deck, we are also a deck that really needs to focus on our resources. So Mizuki is really good at 3 in this version of the deck. It just allows you, it's Monster Reborn. Everyone knows what Mizuki does. You banish it, and you special summon a zombie monster from your graveyard, and it's not a hard once per turn. This card is broken. This guy does not belong in the combo version, but in the control version, Gozuki is insane. It is a secondary play starter, and what this card does is that during your main phase, you can send 1 zombie monster directly from your deck to your graveyard, and it has a cool secondary effect where whenever this card hits the graveyard, you can banish a different zombie monster that is not Gozuki from your graveyard and special summon a zombie monster from your hand. It's a really good extender. It's also a really good play starter, and it can just help you continue off in your plays. I feel like this is just kind of standard. You play your 2 Necroworld Banshee and your 2 Glow Up Bloom. This card just gets you access directly to Zombie World from your deck. It's insane, and it protects Zombie World while this card is face up on the field. And then your Glow Up Bloom, whenever it hits the graveyard, you could banish it and special summon any level 5 or higher zombie monster directly from your deck to your side of the field if Zombie World is active on the field. And if not, you still get to add the card to your hand. For the big ones, we of course play 2 Doom King. This card is the most broken zombie card I think that has ever been created. It special summons itself on every single standby phase whenever there's a face up field spell. It doesn't even have to be your field spell. This card is just nuts because it's a walking 2 interruptions every single turn, and as I said, it just continually comes back. What this card does for your deck is that once per chain, it can either negate a zombie monster's effect or it can banish a monster from the field or graveyard, which is really important because Zombie World is typically always up, so all your opponent's monsters are zombies. So this card just tells them no twice every single turn. This card is insane. And then for the new support, we play 2 JACK-O-BOLAN. So what this card does is that you can discard 1 zombie monster and special summon this card from your hand. It's a free special summon. And if you have cards like Mizuki or Gozuki, Glow Up Bloom, your Necroworld Banshee, all of those cards that function in your graveyard, it just allows you to get them there while special summoning this for free. It's basically a +1. This card is really strong in the control variant. And then its effect on field is during your opponent's main phase. Quick effect, you can target 1 zombie monster in either player's graveyard and special summon that monster. The really cool interaction with that is that that monster is banished once it leaves the field. So I think a really cool interaction with this card right now is that, you know, the biggest deck right now is Spirals. So when they special summon their Magician's Soul by sending that Spellcaster, this card can literally just take the Spellcaster and then just banish it as soon as it leaves the field. So it gets rid of their combo piece. And then on the resolution of that effect, you banish this card until the end phase. So it goes away, but it also comes back and gives you more to play with on your turn. So it kind of has like this built-in protection. I think this card is really interesting. I've been testing with it for a while, and I really enjoy this card in the control variant. And then for the last level 5 or higher zombie monster that we play, it's kind of our built-in hand trap. It's Vampire Fr&auml. This card special summons itself from the hand whenever a monster declares an attack. This card is free protection. It's a free 2,000 booty, and its effect is whenever a zombie monster battles during the damage calculation, quick effect, you can pay life points in multiples of 100 up to 3,000, and then whenever monster battled field, your monster gains that attack equivalent to the amount of life points that you paid. So this helps you just beat over things so much. And it's not even a hard once per turn, it's once per battle. And then even though it's small, one of the really cool things that this card can do is that at the end of the battle phase, if this card destroyed any monster by battle, you can special summon that monster from the graveyard to your side of the field. So you just get to take your opponent's monsters. This card is a really cool one-of. And it's really important to know that this card activates in the hand, which can trigger Doom King. So as soon as your opponent enters battle, you can reveal this. This will activate, and then you can just chain your Doom King to banish any monster on your opponent's field. This card is nutty. And now we go off into the hand traps. This is a control variant, so we need to play some sort of interruption on our opponent's turn. I'm choosing to play 3 Ash, and personally, I'm playing 3 Ghost Bell. This card combats Called by the Grave, and it also combats anything that special summons from the graveyard. So this card is a really good interruption. Plus, it's a zombie, and it triggers Doom King. Everyone knows what Ash does. Also a zombie, it triggers Doom King. I have, in all honesty, been playing around with playing 3 Ash, 2 Ghost Bell, and 2 Impermanence. It bumps your deck count up to 41. However, just in testing, I found that siding Impermanence is a little bit stronger, and playing the Ghost Bell and the Ash in the main deck is just more impactful for your deck. And once again, you are a control deck, so for the last monster, you need to see your combo pieces, you need to start sending stuff, and you need to have interaction. So Armageddon Knight can get you there as soon as possible. It's another place starter. You only play 8 in your entire deck, so this gives you a 9th, so it's really, really strong, and it's not a hard once per turn. So once you get into the graveyard, you can Mizuki it back and continually just play again with it. Off to the spells. We, of course, play triple Zombie World. I think this is probably the most unbelievable field spell that has ever been created in the game of Yu-Gi-Oh! Forget the fact that it's commons. You guys know that we have ultras. The ultras are just in the combo version because that's my favorite version of the deck. But I still wanted to bring you a version of the deck to show you a different way that you can play and build zombies. So what this card does, as everyone knows, all monsters on the field in the graveyard become zombie monsters, and it also functions as a floodgate where nobody can tribute summon monsters unless they are already zombie monsters. So this card kind of shuts down True Dracos, even though they kind of got hit on the ban list and no one's playing them anymore. Thank God for that. Next, for your power spells, we of course play triple Super Polymerization. This card is just broken in the deck. It allows you to go first and provide for interruption on your opponent's turn by having Zombie World up, or you can go second and just break boards. This card is broken and needs to stay at 3 because the format requires it. Now, this is probably the most controversial call I had to make in the entire deck, but we are playing 3 Called by the Grave. The reason that I'm saying it's controversial is because I am personally a fan of Instant Fusion instead. Instant Fusion allows you to go first with your Millennium Ice Restrict and allows you to go second with your 1000 Ice Restrict. However, this is a control variant, so Called by the Grave is just more interactive on your turn and your opponent's turn. This is kind of a stun variant, so this allows you to just set it and continually play on your opponent's turn, provide you protection on your turn. Like, the cards basically do the same thing, but Instant Fusion is a free monster. This is a free interruption. So for a deck that tries to function around interrupting your opponent and controlling the board, I just think that this was the better call. The last spell we play, obviously, is the Foolish Burial. This card is just an extender or a play starter. It allows you to get things directly from your deck to your graveyard and set up your board. And then for the last card in the deck, we have to play 3 Rivalry of Warlords. This card is just absolutely busted. Shout out to my boy Dre, man. Absolutely love you and miss you. These are his copies, so they had to go into the deck. This card is so broken in the deck. It just allows you to lock your opponent out of summoning once they have 1 monster. So what it really does is if Zombie World is up on the field, this card says that each player can only control 1 type of monster. So if Zombie World is up on the field and your opponent has a monster face up on the field already, that monster is a zombie. Now, even though Zombie World makes everything on the field and in the graveyard a zombie, everything in their hand, their deck, and their extra deck is not already a zombie, which means they can't summon it because they already control a zombie. So Zombie World does not activate to make their monsters zombies until they hit the field. So this card allows them to not even place those monsters on the field because they're not already zombies. You get to establish board presence, you get to continually snowball, and your opponent just sits on 1 monster. And the really cool thing with this is you play a card in your extra deck that can special summon a monster from your opponent's graveyard to their side of the field, so you can continually lock them out without even giving them the choice. And that is your 40 card list. So onto the extra deck. We play the 1 Link Karibo. Everyone knows that this is just for your Glow Up Bloom. You can link this away. You can get access to your Doom King, you can get access to your Fr&auml, or you can get access to your JACK-O-BOLAN. This card is just a free monster, and it also provides you with battle protection if you ever need it. We play 2 Vampire Sucker. This is the card that I was just talking about. This card is probably the most broken zombie link that has ever been created. It has 3 different effects. And what this card says is that if you were to tribute monsters for a tribute summon, you can tribute zombie monsters that your opponent controls, even though you do not control them. This card allows you to unbrick your hand by committing your normal summon by tributing 2 of your opponent's monsters if you were to get like a Doom King out, or if you were trying to get your JACK-O-BOLAN out. This card is absolutely nutty. And it has 2 activated effects. The first one is that you can target 1 monster in your opponent's graveyard and special summon it to their field in defensive position. And then the second effect is that whenever a zombie monster is special summoned, you can draw 1 card. Both of those are hard once per turn. However, you can activate all 3 of those effects once per turn. This card is insane. We'll play the 1 Avendred Savior. This card is relatively new. It came out in the Battle of Legends Heroes Revenge set, and what this card states is that basically in the damage step, you can Foolish Burial any zombie monster directly from your deck to your graveyard, and then during damage calculation, the opponent's monster loses attack equal to the level of the monster sent to the graveyard times 200. So if you send a Doom King off of this in the damage step, which is good to note because you can't activate Ash in the damage step, so this just resolves for free, your opponent just lost 1600 attack points because Doom King is a level 8 times 200. This card helps you just beat over gigantic monsters for free while getting extenders in your graveyard. We play the 1 IP Masquerena for additional interruption. This card literally just allows you to play on your opponent's turn again, which is something that this deck really likes to do. I had 1 flex spot left in the extra deck, so I chose to go with Barricade Board Blocker. This is probably one of my favorite cards that came out this entire year. It's a generic link 2. It literally just takes 2 monsters with different names, and what this card does is that you can discard a monster, and then during the end phase, you can add any field spell or continue a spell card directly from your graveyard back to your hand. This card says discard a card. It helps you unbrick your hand. And if that wasn't good enough, this card states that all face-up spell cards you control cannot be destroyed by your opponent's card effects. This card allows you to unbrick your hand and provides you protection. This card is insane in this deck. Of course, we play the 1 Nightmare Phoenix and the 1 Nightmare Unicorn. These cards are just generic spot removal. I know this is a little expensive, however, I did opt to go with the BLS link. You don't have to play this, you could play any other link 3, but this card is just kind of an auto win against most control decks because if you get it out using a level 7 or higher material, it's unable to be destroyed by card effects and it can't be targeted. And a lot of control decks target to remove cards, so this card is just a free win condition, which is kind of why it's worth its price point. If you don't have this card, you can definitely play any other link 3, but if you have access to this card, I do think that it's worth the price. Another high price point card right now, Appaloosa. This is just really good with IP. Once again, you don't have to play this. I would suggest something like Borreload maybe, just to run over some of your opponent's monsters and take them because it allows you more combo pieces. But this just provides you 4 negates or 3 negates or 2 negates or whatever materials you use. It provides you with that amount of interruption, and you can use IP Masquerena on your opponent's turn to go into this and provide for an additional interrupt. So if you have like your IP Masquerena and a Doom King and then something else, you can activate both the Doom King's effect, providing 2 interruption, then activate IP Masquerena, link into this for 3, and then you've got an additional 3 interruptions. That's 5 interruptions off of 3 cards. Like, this is really strong. Floral Sword to help you go in for game. This card literally just says free OTK. For our super poly targets, we do play the 1 Draco Necro Nether Soul Dragon and the Starving Venom Fusion Dragon. You could choose to play 2 if you don't have anything else that you want to throw in your extra deck. As I said, most of my choices are just choices. You don't have to play them. And then Starving Venom is just 2 dark monsters. It provides you with a lot of interruption that your opponent sometimes doesn't see coming. And for the last 2 cards, I do believe Zombies in Konami's eyes was built to be a synchro deck, even though I don't think so. These 2 cards are just free in the deck. I think Omega is like probably the most broken honorary zombie support card. It allows you to just rip cards out of your opponent's hand for a turn, and it allows you to recur some of your resources that are in your banish zone. And then Red Eye Zombie Necro Dragon just literally is one of the biggest beat sticks you can ever make. This card is huge. It literally gains 100 attack for each zombie monster on the field and in both players' graveyards. Like, this card can get gigantic. And when another zombie monster is destroyed by battle, you can special summon 1 zombie monster from either graveyard to your side of the field. This card literally reborns anything from either player's graveyard just for battling. And it doesn't even have to be this card that battles. And that is the deck. And of course, as always, we're just going to do a little shuffle, maybe some test hands, and just show you what the deck can do. We will offer for our opponent to cut the deck as usual, and this deck will attempt to go first. So we'll draw first 5. We got Field Spell, called by Jack, Ash, and Gozuki. So this is not the most optimal hand, as you can see, clearly. This is why I like the combo version, just because you can do a lot more. However, we will activate our zombie world, and then we can normal summon our Gozuki, activate Gozuki's effect. We do have protection because of Called by the Grave, so Gozuki will just send our Bloom. Bloom will then hit the graveyard and trigger, which will banish, which will then special summon our Doom King directly from our deck to our side of the field. And now we have two options here, right? We can activate this by discarding Ash, or we can hold Ash. Let's extend. So let's discard Ash from our hand to our graveyard to special summon JACK-O-BOLAN. He's now on the field, so what we can do is we can link these two cards into our Vampire Sucker. We unfortunately don't have a zombie monster to trigger Gozuki in our hand. However, in our standby phase, Doom King will activate special summoning itself, which will trigger Vampire Sucker to draw us one card. We have 1, 2, 3 interruptions on our opponent's turn. Like, going first, this is pretty strong. And you have Mizuki for a follow-up, and you could have set Called by the Grave if you wanted to. We'll do another test hand, see how it goes. We will offer our opponent the cut, and then once again, we'll rip the first 5. So this is actually really strong. So we will activate our zombie world first and foremost, and then we'll activate JACK-O-BOLAN by discarding our Bloom to special summon itself. This will trigger Bloom, which will banish itself, special summoning our Doom King directly from our deck to our side of the field. And once again, we still have 1, 2, 3 interruptions plus 2 hand traps in hand. This is really strong, and both of these will trigger Doom King. We'll give our opponent the cut. Okay, it's not amazing, but it'll work. We will activate our zombie world from our hand, activate Unizombie to send our Mizuki from our hand to the graveyard, and then we will activate Unizombie again, making it a level 5 to send one from our deck to the grave. Send our Bloom, banish the Bloom now, to special summon our Doom King directly from our deck to our side of the field, link for 2 into our Vampire Sucker, activate Mizuki to banish, special summoning our Doom King, which will trigger Vampire Sucker to draw us a card, and then, once again, we can still link for 2 into our second Vampire Sucker, which means on our opponent's turn, this will special summon itself, once again, triggering Vampire Sucker a second time, drawing us another card. So on our opponent's turn, we still have 2 interruptions, plus we have a play starter, we have a reborn for next turn, and if we want, what we could do, as I said before, if your opponent does commit to a lot of monsters and leaves your Vampire Sucker on the field, Vampire Sucker will allow you to tribute summon your second Doom King using your normal summon by tributing 2 monsters your opponent controls. Really, really strong. Now, a lot of people, when they do test hands, they show going first. This deck can attempt to go second also and break boards. So what we will do is we will allow our opponent to cut. Unfortunately, lost the die roll, so we will rip 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And then for our first turn, we will take the 6th card. This is insane. Come on, man. Are you for real? So going second, this hand is insane going second. So what I would do first is I would activate our zombie world. If they have absolutely no interruption, they probably have 2 monsters on field because most boards do. Whether they have a response to the activation or not, we can activate Super Poly either in response to their response as Chain Link 3, or we can just activate it on a new chain, discarding our Bloom, special summoning our Necrosoul Dragon. On resolution, Bloom will trigger, which will banish. We'll special summon our Doom King directly from our deck to our side of the field. We can normal summon our Unizombie, activate Unizombie's effect, which will trigger Doom King. We can activate Doom King then to banish a card on the field. We'll just send our Mizuki for a follow-up play. We will enter battle, and then on declaration of battle, this will special summon itself in defense position. We still have a hand trap in hand. We have 3,028, which is 58, plus another 13, which is 7,100 damage, almost going in for a game on your first turn going second. You cleared 3 cards off your opponent's field. You have a Mizuki for follow-up play, and you have your Ghost Bell in hand still. Now, a follow-up after this in your main phase 2, you have tons of options. Depending on what deck you're playing, you could link all 3 of these away into your BLS link so that you're untargetable, or you could just link 2 away into your Vampire Sucker, trigger your Mizuki to special summon again, draw 1 card, and then once again go into your second Vampire Sucker and draw a 3rd card on your opponent's turn. At that point, you've just snowballed and you have too much advantage. There's no way your opponent's really going to get over that. This functions as a floodgate. This is 2 interruptions on your opponent's turn. This allows you to beat over anything. You have a hand trap in hand, you have a play starter on field, and you have recursion for your next turn in your graveyard. Zombies is just one of my favorite archetypes, and this is why. This is just what it does. Once again, this is just a control version of the deck. I really prefer the combo version. However, I do think that this is a really strong option, especially in this coming format. For any of you guys who are looking for an updated version of the combo deck, I will have that coming up on the channel. I'm still playing around with it. There's just some extra deck choices I really want to include. There's some main deck choices I really want to make sure that I have solidified. Keep an eye out for that in the next week or two. I'll have an updated zombie combo deck version. And once again, we just want to say thank you to Cardboard Gaming for these amazing custom field centers. These are our personal merch, so if you guys want to buy any of these, feel free, let us know. We have a link in the description box down below for our PayPal. Field centers are 10, and then we have these incredibly cute Topps Crush Card glitter stickers. These are 5, both of which were designed by Logan herself. So in supporting us, you support Logan's art directly. It's kind of cool. You guys just get a piece of us. So we really appreciate everybody who's already bought these. Once again, links in the description box down below for PayPal. Field centers are 10. These are 5, and shipping is already included. Get them while they are last because there's not a lot left. So I hope you guys really enjoyed this deck profile. Let me know what you guys are into. If you guys like the combo version, if you like the control version. I just think zombies are fun in general. So thanks for hanging out so much, guys, and we'll see you in the next video. Take care. Remember, you always matter. Love you guys. Bye.